All right, so now welcome to another lesson. So in this lesson, we are going to look at inputs and outputs. The objective for this lesson is we're going to learn how to collect input from users and display output in Python. Now, what is output? Output is what the computer shows the user. So what the user see, read in order to perform an action is what is referred to as what? An output. Example is a simple message on the screen that says enter your name, or that says close the program, or that says do this or do that. That is a typical example of an output. Now, output in Python. So we use the function print to display output. So if you want to display something on the screen, let's say welcome home, you can say print welcome home, and that will be displayed on the screen. Example, print hello, and you see hello on the screen. Now, what is input? Input is data given to the computer by the user. So when you are prompted by the output, let's say enter your name, and you decide to key in your name in the text field, that is an input you are giving to the computer as a user. So input is basically what we give to the computer, what we feed to the computer. That is an input. So we use the function input to collect users' data. Example, if I want you to enter your name to feed the computer with your name in Python, I'm going to declare a variable where I would want to store your input. And since I'm taking a name, the variable I'm going to be declaring here is going to be name, then equals to, then I'll call the input function. Then inside the parentheses, I'm going to say enter name. So when this line of code is run, what the user is going to see is enter name. And the user is going to go ahead and enter their name, and that name is going to be stored in the variable name. Important note: input always returns string, even if you type numbers. So input, the user is going to give you, always return string. So unless you decide that I don't want it to return a string, then you would have to modify it to change the value you want to receive from the user to work with. But generally, input returns string. Now let's look at examples in coding. So I'm going to create another file inside the folder here, in the folder called with two lessons, and then name it lesson 5. So this is a file, right? So what, lesson 5, then underscore input, and then and underscore output.py, something like that. Hit enter. So now we have that file. We can close this one. So now let's pass our first comment and say lesson 5 input and output. So example 1, pass a comment here and say example 1. There we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and then okay, that is. Now let's look at our first example. So let's say we want to display a very simple message like hello world for the user to see. So with that as an output, we're going to say print inside the parentheses, then we say hello world, then Control S to save your work. Now once we run this, it's going to display hello world as an output. So this is typical example of an output. Another example here. So this example 2. So let's say I would want to display something like welcome to Python. So I'm going to enter that from here, Python, save this work. Now let me clear my console. Okay, so now let's run it. We have hello world and welcome to Python. Because we didn't comment this, so we comment that out, and also we comment this out as well. So there we go. Let's look at our third example. So example 3. So now let's say we want to take an input. So example 3, getting an input from a user. So in this example, we're going to get an input from a user. So to get an input from a user, all we need to do is to declare a variable where we want to store that input the user is going to give to us. So in this case, I want to collect a name, so I'm going to declare variable name, and then here, then I'll use the input keyword. Then I'll open the parenthesis. Then I'll say enter name. Then after that, I need to give a space between the displayed content and the field the user is going to enter something. So to do that, I'll add colon, then give a space. So right now, let me just remove this line for now, select this and comment it out. So with this, if we run the line, this line which says name equal input enter name, it's going to display something for the user, prompting the user to enter something. So now let's clear the console and run that line and see. So you can see it says enter name. So I can enter name, say let's say John, and hit enter, and nothing is going to happen because there is no extra command that is telling us to do something. So the only thing we can do is, let's say we want to print the name. So select this, let's remove the comment and say print the name. So with this, when the user gives us the name, we can display the name back to the user by doing this. So now enter the name. So I'm going to enter the name James. Now when I press enter, it's going to give me James as the name. It's a typical example. So another example, let's say after asking you to enter your name, I would want to write a simple statement, okay, with the, let's say hello, then your name in that order. So I'm going to paste this here, example 4. So I'm going to say enter your name. So after you giving me your name, I want to say hello, then the name. So let's say hello, James. So with this, I'm going to add this and then hello, then outside the parentheses, then comma, then the name. Okay. So with this, let's clear the console, Control L. If we run this, it's going to give us to enter the name. So let's enter the names John. Once we hit enter, we should see hello John. So there we go. We have, sorry, it's telling us to enter. Okay, so we didn't comment this out. Let's comment this out here so that we can have a clean output. There we go. So here as well, it's prompting entering of name. So let me enter something here. Okay, let's say James, and it says hello James, just like that. So basically that is what we want to see. So now we are seeing that as well. So now let's look at another example here. Let me comment this out. So example 5. So here we would want to declare variable to store age. Okay, age. And then here I'm going to say input enter your age. So enter your age. Enter your age. So here I'm going to say print what? Age. Save the work. So with this, once we run this, we are prompted to enter age. So 56, and then we have 56 in return. All right. So now let's see something here. Let's select this, Control S to comment that back. Let's go copy that and use as our next example, example 6. Now watch this carefully. Let's clear our console. So right now we have a variable saying age. So let me select this too and let's remove the comment. So age, then input enter your age. So they enter their age. So now we want to do some small calculation. Age plus 5. We want to sum up by adding the age the user is going to give us to 5 and then give us the results. So now we're going to run this and see what's going to happen. So we run this. So it says enter your age. So ideally, if I should enter like 45 and press enter, it should give me what? Age, which is 45 plus 5. It should give me what? 50 as the output. But let's see something. It is giving us an error. So why is it giving us an error? We made it very clear that input function always return strings. So whatever number the user gives you here, even though you are given a number, thinking that where the Python or the program is seeing a number, it is seeing it as what? A string. And we can't add a string which is stored in this age which the user has given you to what? 5. We can't do that. It doesn't work. It's going to throw an error. So that is what we are seeing there. So now what is the workaround, or what is the way out? So to make things very simple, you would have to convert the age the user is going to give to you as an integer before you can do this calculation. How do we do that? So to do that, from the beginning here, the moment you bring the age variable and then equal to, then you convert it into an integer using the int function. Then I'll open the parentheses. Since I have double parentheses open, I need to have the second one also closed. So now with this line now, when the user gives us the age, it's no more going to be just a string again. The int function here has converted the number the user is going to give us into an integer. And once we add an integer to an integer, we should get an integer back. So let's clear the console and save our work. So now let's run it again. Now let me enter 45 again and press enter. So the output is now 50. So that makes it very clear that Python input function returns string. Whatever you give to an input, it's given to Python as string. So you would have to convert it into the data type you would want it to be so that you can use it in your program, just as you've seen us doing that. So if you want it to be stored as float, then you would want to change this into what? Float. Very simple and straightforward. Right. So now let's build a very simple program here. Let's select this, control /. So now let's copy this now. And then example 7 here, send this example 7, example 6 here, there we go, sorry, example 5 here, example 6 here, there we go. So now let's declare some few variables and see how we can display them in the console. So here, let's select these two and remove the comments, control /. So here we start with the first one here and say name, and then equal to input, then say enter name and give a space, and then here age, enter age. So here after the age is entered, we would want to print something like your name is this, let's say. Okay, let me use formatted string. So F, the name is, then inside the curly braces name, and then outside it, and then you can see there's a full stop, then you are, then inside this age, then outside years old. There we go. So now let's clear the console from here, control L. Let's run this program. It's going to give us name, so enter name. So let's say King, enter age, let's say 76, and then your name is King, you are 76 years old. Very simple output there with the data given to us by the user. So now let's get our last example and then we call it a day for this lesson on on input and output. So let's copy this and get the last example. So now example 8, 12, there we go. So right now let's declare some few variables from here. So let's say price, and then equal to, so int, since it's price, I would want to use float. So float inside the parenthesis. So inputs, I would want to request for a user, and I'll say enter price, enter price. So after that, bring colon and give a space. Very good practice and clean code. So after that, let's get a quantity as well. Okay, so let's declare, say, quantity. So basically what we are trying to do is that we would want the user to give us a price of an item they are going to purchase, and then the number of items they would want to purchase. Then we do multiplications, then we multiply the price by the quantity and give them the total cost. That is what we are trying to do, right? Very simple. So now we are asking of the price. So here the user is going to give us the price. So after giving us the price, we request for the quantity. So quantity is equal to so with the quantity is going to be int. So inside the parenthesis, say input, and you say enter quantity. So once the user gives us that, what we are going to do is that we need to store the results in a variable called total. So we declare total, then we sum it equal to price multiplied by the quantity. There we go, something like this. Then once we have that, we're going to print, and then we say, let's use formatting string and say the total price is, then inside the curly braces, then we have price. There we go, something like that. So let's clear the console and run this program. So it says enterprise. So the price of an item is, let's say, 50 Ghana cedis. So how many am I buying? I'm buying 4. So now the total price is what? Oh gosh, seems the multiplication is not. Let me see this. Total price is, okay, I have the price here, which is which I've entered, which is 50. Enterprise price is 50, and then quantity is 4. So I would want to multiply price by the quantity. Sorry, the total price is, instead of total, I'm saying price. So it should be total, the variable that stores the total result. So now let's clear the console. Let's run our program again. So the price per item is 50. Sorry, the price per item is 50. So I'm going to write 50, and then 4 of them quantity. So now the total price is 200 Ghana cedis. A very simple and cool program. So with this, print function gives us output. It displays something for the user to see, and then input also gives us what? From the user to give us an input, to feed the computer with an input. Okay, and then note that the input function always returns strings. So if you would want to work with integers, then you would have to convert the data the user is going to give to you to the data type you would want to work with before it can work in your program. So basically, that is that about this lesson on inputs and outputs. So see you in the next lesson, where we are going to be looking at operators.